Hello, guys. Today we're going to talk about chapter 6, which was my first injury, a scaphoid injury. I'll explain you guys in a second. So, it all started in my sophomore year. It was around 2016 in November. Around that time, they sent me a ball in behind. I was running towards the box. I went to go on a 50-50 with the center back, and as soon as I fell down, I felt right on my wrist, and I remember grabbing it, and I was a little uncomfortable. Kept playing, nothing. I kept playing for a while, but I was asking for my friends. I remember asking Devin, do you have anything for my wrist? It hurts. He gave me like a little black thing. It was basically nothing, but I needed something. I was a little scared, a little uncomfortable with it, but 2 or 3 games later, I stopped feeling it. We got eliminated in my sophomore year in the state semifinals, and and I stopped feeling it. I kept playing in my club. It was chilling. Then it came back around junior year for like a week or two. I was like, wait, what is this? Is this the same thing? Confused, but then it left. And then my senior year, it stayed on the whole season. It was there. I had to the tape around. It was really uncomfortable. I couldn't do a push up. I was really frustrated because I kept making excuses not to do push ups, and then others would find other excuses as well. But it was tough for me for this goes to Jonathan Ludwig. I look at him, I'm like, why are you not doing it? No, this hurts. I'm like, dude, you're lying. But I couldn't say that because I wasn't able to do a push up. Nothing. We won our second state title in a row, right? Back to back. Historic. My I cannot mention that. It was a pretty good time for Palmer. They didn't let us play 1A anymore. They so we won 1A. They hadn't won ever again in 1A. We won twice in a row, and then we went up to 3A. So it was like we had this joke saying, "Oh, when we won the state title, 2A comes knocking on the door." It was pretty funny, but that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to talk about my injury. So then, when the season ended, my mom forced me to go get an X-ray. She was like, "Look, there's this Venezuelan doctor that you can get checked out." That knows Natasha Ludwig, which is Jonathan's mom, and Sergio's mom, which Rosana, which is Sergio's mom. That they know her or they know him. Just get an X-ray. Just get it checked out. If it's nothing, we just don't worry about it. I didn't want to. I'm like, look, this is nothing. I've played through it. Like, I don't want to get it checked out. It's nothing. Nothing. We went to get the meeting. We got the X-ray. It was a fractured in my scaphoid. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you guys can see where I got the surgery. It was a scaphoid. Is a bone inside that is really uncomfortable, and you can't even reach it from one side or the other. And I had to get a nail in, and I still have a nail, right here. And the time for recovery is 4 months. I have to be 4 months with a cast. Crazy. This was around March, beginning of March. 4 months with a cast, and the time for recovery with the scaffold is 0. I have to remain with a nail in my wrist, and that probably I won't be able to um, to fold my wrist again completely. I still can't. I don't know if you guys can see. I can't turn it completely. I'm sorry for the very bad demonstration, but you could kind of see it. That my wrist is still messed up. It still is in 26. This was in 2019. I felt pretty cool. I was like, oh, I played with this for 2 years. Finally got an injury. This was my first injury as a football player. My football career. This was my first injury. I decided to get my surgery April 12th because we had a ski trip already all paid for 2 weeks later, and I had to wear a brace for the ski. But after they told me in the X-ray, everything started hurting. Pushing the door, touching things, lifting things up, luggages. It was very uncomfortable for the head when you know something is broken already. It starts like hurting a little more. So you start seeing how powerful your head is, when you tell yourself it's nothing, sometimes it's actually nothing. But because the injury allows it to be also nothing. It was this injury that would come up, would come back, would come in, come back, and you could not feel it for a while, and the bone still be broken. And that's exactly what happened to me. I broke it around November of 2016, and I got a surgery in April 2019. Basically, 2 years and a half playing with this injury. Nothing. When I got surgery, it was 5 a.m. in Coral Gables. They gave me a cast, and the cast was here. So I couldn't even extend this. I wasn't able to play. It was unbearable. I couldn't. I tried to focus more on other things, being with my family, being with my girlfriend, be with my boys, with my friends, because it was my last year. I was graduating Palmer Trinity School. I was going to college, so I was trying to enjoy Miami also. So yeah, I kind of focused on that, put my energy into that, and and I would go to train with Keys Game, the old ones that they were like in a state cup run of their own, but they wouldn't let me play. It was frustrating. It was one time that we had the beep test, and I hadn't done exercise in a while, and I was one of the only three players that completed them. The whole team didn't complete them, and I did, and I hadn't been doing exercise much, because of my injury. I still ran in with a cast, and only three of us were able to do it. I don't remember the players, but I'm sure it was Will Denight and Hans Hunke. I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember. But it was pretty satisfying for me in my head that I could be fit without even doing exercise, naturally fit. Obviously, you can be more or less fit, but at least for that level which I was training, I was. They didn't let me play in the games. One time my dad said that I looked a little chubby. I think I had wanted, like, I've never been fat in my life. Thank God. I always took care of myself, eating and exercising wise. But I also have a very fast metabolism, which is also a gift from God. And my dad made fun of me once, and I went to run the whole week. I was so mad at him that I went to run the whole weekend, and and I lost it. Lost it, right? I don't know what he was saying, but whatever. Uh, Nothing. I had to get prepared for my college season, but I knew that it was still April, May, June, July, August, 4 months away. They told me 3 months. They said a little. It could be more, but I didn't think it could be more than 3 months for a wrist injury. I was confused. Nothing. I had to go to the doctor every 2 weeks, but I was very limited. I couldn't with my luggage. I couldn't cut my meat. I couldn't. I could barely. I would drive with one hand. I could what my backpack I could carry it, but it was uncomfortable. You start like learning to deal with stuff, but you're very limited. You can never picture until you actually suffer this injury. It wasn't one in the leg, so you could obviously walk, but and you could run, but it was really uncomfortable. And having this thing, if you do exercise, it's all sweaty. Nothing. It was one of my first bumps in the road. At least it was in a time during I had a season because I didn't have a club team because I sacrificed a club team to eventually play for Palmer. I thought that I could play college soccer while still playing in Palmer, and I did. I knew that I was going to. That was never an option. But I sacrificed to win the state title, and it did pay off. So sometimes you take these little risks because you could play. I could play academy to having a higher chance to playing college soccer, but Palmer gave everything to me, and I couldn't quit on them for a last year. I thought that playing high school, I could still commit to college, especially after what Palmer did for me. But yeah, that's not the point of the story. The point of the chapter 6, which is a scaphoid injury, was to talk about the injury itself, and in the next chapter, I will talk a little bit more about how I prepared for college season and during the summer and during this time of injury. But yeah, thanks to a special mention to my mom, Veronica Maggio, that she forced me to do it, and she forced me to get the X-ray. And who knows? It was a perfect time to get the surgery. Who knows what could have happened? Because if I didn't take care of it, what? I get surgery 2 years later, a year later, in the summer, and my football career was getting more and more serious. Who knows how much longer I was going to play. In my head, I always wanted to play professionally, but since I opted the college route and I hadn't played at the highest level I could, I was trying to be humble also in that sense, especially players, coaches. Everyone tells you, no, you can't make it. Only 0.2% of the players make it pro. It's like, okay, good. I'll be that point too. Always had that in my head. Whenever someone told me you can't make it, I just wanted to go and prove them wrong, but I knew that there was a 4 years of college, and I didn't know what was going to happen after that. I didn't think too much in long term at the time, but my mom saved me for sure. And I wanted to give another special thanks to Martin Valareso, because he helped me during this time of the injury, especially in the trip that we had with our friends to Europe. He, with the luggages, cutting my meat, like that was the most frustrating for me, and asking for help. Like, your friends are getting tired. They have their own thing. They're tired. They're thinking about themselves, and then there's this baby that can even cut his meat. It was the first time that I felt limited. It was my first injury ever. I had one small, tiny hamstring injury. My middle brother always reminds me of it, but it was tiny, and I was 13, so I don't even remember how bad was it. I remember not playing for like 6 weeks and feeling something, but I just didn't play, and that's it. You know, this one was like, look, you're out for 3 months, and you can't use your left hand at all. Apparently within the first month they did the X-ray again. They said, oh, you're using your left hand too much. You have to stop. I'm like, dude, like, really? But nothing. That's all for today. I wanted to give you guys a brief look of chapter 6, and chapter 7. 7 will be how I prepare for my new adventure in college soccer, and how I prepare myself with this injury I have that I did not tell my coach about, which was a mistake. I should have told him immediately. But yeah, thank you guys again for following my journey, my chapters, my content. Follow me on Instagram, alberto.franceschi. I also have TikTok, albertofran21, and I also have X, Twitter, AE Franceschi, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And thank you guys for listening. Again, I'll be repetitive with this, and I'll see you guys next week.